story well. And I just need you to paint the picture. Can you tell us a bit about what was happening in, just hang on, I've just been reminded we have to record. Okay, all these tech things.
Recording in progress.
Okay, now we can start. We really are thrilled you're here today, Elaine, and we really appreciate the time because I know it's 10 o'clock in New Zealand for you to come and share. So I have just a few questions so that the people, the nearly 110 people, probably more that are listening to this, can you tell us a little bit about what was happening with your health before you started using ASEA? Then tell us how you connected with ASEA or hearing about ASEA and what attracted you to ASEA and the changes that you really noticed. And I know that you've written some notes and stuff, but I would like you to take it off and just paint the picture of your story because it's just pretty amazing how your life has changed.
So first off, thank you so much, Kay, and everyone for being here this evening. It really is a pleasure, and so I'm so excited to be able to share my story and hope that I can inspire others to have some hope. So I'm originally from the UK. I've been in New Zealand now for the last 24 years. My story did start in the UK. So although my ASEA story started in 2021, my health challenge started actually in 1989. So 1989, I was 20 years old and I had just accomplished something that was my absolute dream. I had had an opportunity to work at an elite health farm in the north of England. And it was something that I had wanted to do since I was 16 years old. And I arrived at the health farm. It was pretty arduous, long days. And within a short few months of being there, actually became my worst nightmare. I had extreme chronic inflammation that began from under my ribs right down to the top of my hips. And if anyone, kind of didn't know me, they probably would have thought I was, a few months pregnant. And it was not a good time in my life because there I was as a beauty therapist turning up, trying to help other people. And I was going through this really difficult time myself. I had, still to this day, my mum doesn't know how my skin is not scarred. I had acne across my forehead, underneath my cheekbones, all over my décolleté and all down my back. And I couldn't eat. It was very, very difficult for me to eat because as soon as anything hit my stomach, as I explained to consultants, it felt like I had a furnace, an oven, and a bonfire all lit at the same time. I went on this journey for 13 years, and I was continually told that as a high achiever, I was just putting myself under a lot of stress, and your hormones are, just a little bit out of whack. So get yourself a job where you're not so stressed and everything will be fine. And really, it's actually kind of really all in your head. So this went on for 13 years. I had to leave my job as a beauty therapist, which was heartbreaking. And I ended up going back to live with my mum. I was 21 at this point, and I had to live with my mum. And I was on, well, for 5 years, actually, I was put on antidepressants. Fast forward 13 years from that time, so I was now 33 years old. I'd gone into the corporate world, and one day at work I collapsed, and I was rushed to one of the London hospitals, and I actually, for the first time, was listened to. And I had a condition, it's a chronic inflammatory condition that only women get. Known as a silent disease, but have Kay's permission tonight to say that it was endometriosis. Now, the thing was I didn't follow the normal textbook endometriosis. It wasn't in the normal places. I had it in my, all over my bladder, my left kidney, the ureter, which is the tube that runs down the kidney, and in my descending colon, my bowel and my rectum. I underwent a couple of immediate surgeries. But the thing was with this to this condition, it doesn't really go away, it just regrows. That's just the way it is. So all they can give you really is stuff to cover the symptoms, which is pain, inflammation. Um, and life was pretty dark, to be honest. I went from, personal training background, Pilates instructor, health advocate, to a real former shell of myself. I stood on the scales at around about 6 stone at that point in my early 20s. And yeah, I literally, all I could do was get through the day and get back to my small studio as soon as possible, and then, rinse, repeat. Um, this went on, and eventually I ended up over here in New Zealand. And I'm going to fast forward now to 2018. At this time, I was coming up to 49 years old. And all this time, I had been on 7 medications, and my quality of life was not great. Really couldn't do any exercise anymore. And it was, yeah, I wasn't in a relationship. I just really didn't have much hope as such. Um, but what they did say is that once you go through the change, when women go through the change, it will all sort itself out. I'm thinking, oh, wow, it's a long way to wait. But what actually happened to me was at the age of the 2018, I was coming up to 40, 48, 49. I lost the feeling down my left leg, um, and it kept giving way. And I went back to the consultants, and they said, well, this probably, it's mixed up hormones. It's likely perimenopause. And I was like, right, okay, I don't see many perimenopausal women limping. And for these 18 months, I couldn't afford to hire crutches. So I walked with 2 umbrella sticks to and from my work. And I sat with my leg out because I couldn't bend it at 90 degrees at the top of the hip. Luckily for me, I collapsed again at work. Seemed to be the only way to get answers was to collapse. And I was rushed into hospital, and this was over here in New Zealand at this time. And they found that I had a large mass in my stomach that was pressing on the nerve. It was a femoral nerve down my left leg, which needed immediate surgery. So in that surgery, they also found I also had 2 inguinal hernias. And none of this was, I wasn't overweight. I hadn't had multiple pregnancies. So I didn't actually fit the cardboard cutout of all the things I was experiencing. But the moral of the story is, even after all these operations, this inflammation and discomfort was still there because my body was absolutely heightened with extreme sensitivity now. It's like turning your computer off at night and plugging it in, and then you get up in the morning and it's only charged to 50%. You're gonna be out for the count by midday. Anyway, I went through 3 operations, 2018 to 2019, and to fix up the limp in my leg and all that jazz. And then a few months later, it was about 6 months later, the bottom truly fell out of my life. We were in the pandemic, or even pandemic at the time. Yeah, I got up one morning, I was working from home, and my rectum prolapsed. And this was like a just the most devastating thing that I don't know. There's a lot of things I've had happen to me, but I was already low in my self-esteem. I was low in my self-worth, but now my level of self-loathing just like went to a whole new height. Due to the pandemic, I had to go 9 months with rectal prolapse, pushing it in multiple times a day, coughing, sneezing, anything would set it off. Um, So this was another surgery that I encountered in 2020. Thank the Lord, it was a successful surgery. Otherwise, it would have been a colostomy bag. And I got through that out the other side. But unfortunately, now I was on a 14-month journey, learning how to use all the parts of my body again. I'd had multiple incisions through my body, and my life pretty much looked like this pretty much for 33 years of my life. Um, Now, in 2021, I was pretty much at my wit's end. Oh, I actually forgot to say, prior to that last operation to fix up my rectal prolapse, I prayed for financial security. And the day before my surgery, I lost my job. So I really didn't understand, as a lady of the Lord, I didn't really understand what was really happening in my life. But now I actually really do. Um, the following year, I had a message on LinkedIn, and I, was really careful because you really don't know how many scams are out there. And I met with a beautiful lady and her dad that were over in Australia. They didn't know anything that was going on in my life because my LinkedIn page didn't say any of what was happening. And they talked to me about redox cell signaling molecules. And coming from, a fitness background and a beauty therapy background, I really listened. The first thing that really just sung to my heart was the Genesis video. I really, really loved the way that the company started and the way that they didn't sell out to the pharmaceuticals and they looked after the people. And so that was a real plus for me. And then secondly, understanding what redox cell signaling molecules do, I truly believed that this was, a God moment for me. And so I started on my journey in February 2021. Shall I carry on with how my
Yes,
journey went?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
right. So
just share how, what was the response, and things were pretty tough for you to even afford
yeah,
to get these redox molecules. So
yeah. So
share
I
the journey.
I had prayed for financial security and I had lost my job. Um, but I just I had nothing nothing else. I couldn't carry on with these 7 medications. I felt like they were poisoning my body, to be completely honest. And I was about to face a 1-week course at Auckland Hospital to learn how to live my life as a chronic pain sufferer. And I just said no, although I was compelled to have to go on the course, I just said to myself, this is not my journey in life. And so I started on my ASEA, and initially I had like more energy and my sleep was so much better because I hadn't slept well for years. And, and the next thing for me was my optimism. I always like shone up, smiling and happy, but my insides were crumbling, and that was just really a, a front. But I truly, truly felt optimistic. And as my journey went on, I kind of explain it like an onion. Like I'm a Reiki master teacher and come from a healing background. And when we have healing, just like with redox cell signaling molecules, they will go to where they need to work first. And I truly wanted them to work on my inflammation and this like discomfort that was going on. But that was 9 months, but it was the best 9-month journey. And it really, when you have been going through what I had been going through for over 3 decades, you have to give your body time. Um, and I said to myself, I don't want to be taking my medication anymore. And it was literally, I was saying to Kay earlier today, to kind of, people said, if you have medication and you need to go on a journey with your doctor to come off it, obviously I definitely advise that. I'm pretty hardcore when I feel something, I'm an intuitive. I'm like, that's it, got to do it. And so I reached out for my medication one morning and I just couldn't even pick it up. I just said to myself, when you look at what redox cell signaling molecules are doing, they're creating homeostasis in your hormones. They're reducing inflammation by 30+%. They're improving your digestion. These are the things I really needed to happen in my body, and they were happening. And so I didn't want to put the poison in my body because the redox cell signaling molecules were, getting the toxins out. Um, and I never looked back. And so that has been my journey. There was a couple of other things along the way as well. So I was actually using the Renu 28 on my belly. Um, and I explained this earlier that obviously I have multiple scars across my abdomen, but I put this on specifically because I felt if it increases my circulation, it's going to increase like all the healing to that area and improve my digestion. And as I explained to Kay earlier, now the skin on my tummy is smoother than the skin on my face. So
How
no,
good is
that's
that?
going to help me in the summer here in New Zealand, that's for sure. Um, as a therapist, I had a condition with my joints in my thumbs. One of my thumbs locked straight, one of my thumbs locked bent. I spent 3 years with casts on my thumbs. And as you can see, I don't have my thumb casts anymore. So that was such a blessing as well, because it's very hard to do your hair when you've got thumb casts with Velcro on them and they just get really stuck. And it's not very attractive wearing thumb casts, right? So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I guess the very last thing I want to say, because I see that my time is going to be up
Yeah,
probably in a minute.
it's okay. Keep going.
The last thing I really want to share is that I prayed for financial security, and I now I can see what actually happened in my life. Like the Lord did pick me up and take me out of the corporate world, and put me on this healing journey. But I always believed, and I used to say to the consultants, psychiatrists, all the people that I was talking to, that one day what I'm experiencing is I'm going to share my story to help others, women especially, and their partners, find their joy much sooner than I found mine. And I'm going to share my story. I'm going to write it. I'm going to stand on stage. I'm going to speak it. And they would just look at me and go, there's something quite wrong with you. But here's the thing, in 2023, I won a writing scholarship. I wrote my story in Ignite Joy. I've gone on to write a second story as well. And I've stood on stage twice, overseas in America, and I've shared my story. And if it hadn't been for ASEA funding my writing journey and my speaker journey, I wouldn't have fulfilled the assignment that I was here to do. And I've got a lot more that I want to do, only on my start of my business journey with ASEA. But I truly would say to anyone out there that if you have a challenge it's going to be starting at the cellular level. And when you look at the 5 areas that ASEA says it helps with, it truly does. It's a God's gift, and I'm so very grateful for not just for this, but for the community as well.
I think it's just amazing. Um, can you just, if somebody's looking and hearing your story and this may be your first call, and listening to what redox molecules, what steps would you suggest that they take? Because I know that you started just with a message on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And and I will empathize with people as well right now, because there's so many so much social media out there, right? There's so many people saying this will work and that will work. But for me, I wanted to know the science. So look at the videos. I like the ethos of the company as well. So that was a Genesis video for me. Um, and because you can see energy, right? You can see energy in people on videos, and you see Tyler Norton and Verdis Norton, and you know that their hearts are really pure. And then the science. So there's different websites, the Redox Science and Real Redox Results, with all of the testimonies on as well. Um, I looked at all of that, and also as well PubMed. If you really want to, look more in depth, you look at redox cell signaling molecules. At the end of the day, it was discovered many, many years ago. So it's what I would say is go back to the person who invited you and listen to the videos, look at the websites, and then come to sessions like this. Come to group sessions, get to know people, because when you know people and you hear their stories, you know that we're just sharing what truly happened.
Mm,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's real life.
Mm, exactly. Um, so when you first started, things were really tight for the purse strings.
Mm.
So Greg has actually mentioned how much ASEA were you taking, because it was really tight, wasn't it, to even
Yeah. So like I
Right.
said, I literally, I would look at my food budget and I would make sure that my house here was paid for first. And then I would, get my food from there. So for me, I had the 4 bottles in the pack. So I could take 1 cup in the morning and 1 cup at night. Um, and maybe that's why my journey took 9 months. I don't know. I don't think so. I think my body needed to heal.
Mm.
Now I have the luxury of the essentials pack, which is so exciting. And I take 2 of these in the morning and 2 of these at night. Unfortunately, at the end of last year, or September last year, I had another diagnosis, which wasn't good news on my spine. So I take 260 mils in the morning, 260 mils at night. And even though I've had this diagnosis on my back, and my spine, I am still exercising, I'm still going to yoga, I'm still doing Pilates. So I truly believe that if I wasn't using this and this, and taking the drink, I wouldn't be doing the half of the things that I'm
Yeah.
still doing right now. So yeah, I think, like I said, one in the morning, one at night, and then
Yeah.
now two in the morning, two at night, and then an extra dose if I have the luxury of doing that throughout the day because it just tops me up. And I'm
Yeah.
57 now. I'm 57, so my cell signaling molecules are declining even further.
Exactly. When you think about that,
And I
we're
want to
the
look like
next.
you at 70K.
I'm 71. Yeah,
Oh,
72
wow.
this year. So yeah, and so we need it. We definitely need it to put back into what our body can't make.
Totally.
So is if you've got a question, how much pain do you experience now? Somebody has asked.
Yeah, cool. Really good question. I would like to say that I am, totally discomfort free. But I would say, right, most days I'm 95% free from discomfort, um, considering how my life used to be. But so I work with breath and frequencies in my work. And when our body has been that traumatized, memories do stick in your cells. So, as well as taking my redox cell signaling molecules, I do work with breath work as well, and I find that that also helps. But I couldn't even plan my next day apart from having to go to work because you had to pay the bills until I lost my job. Um, but now, like I said, I can plan. Well, I last month or last year, sorry, I plan to be at the conference, next week, and that would be something that I would never have been able to do in my 20s through to I was what 52. So
Wow.
yeah,
And to think we're all going to be able to give you a big hug next week.
I'm so excited. It really, part of me could be, a little bit bitter is like, oh, life didn't start to happen until I was kind of 52, but it's not like that, because if people like us don't experience what we experience and we can't share it with others to then be able to help them. So it's really just a pay it forward story. And I think we're all here and we're all those people. So
Well, you certainly have been through the mill, and
ring it.
thank God for the people who cared enough to share that message with you on LinkedIn. And for those who are listening, we're here because of Andrew and Melissa, because they shared a story on Facebook, on social media, and it was Joe's friend who saw it. And as a result, hundreds, I don't know whether it's up to thousands, Andrew, but lives have been changed because you were brave enough to share your story, or Taj's story, Melissa and Andrew's story, and how many lives are impacted because you weren't afraid and you're passionate about this technology. So, and to hear Elaine, it was because of Christina's message to you, and you did your research. And this is what we're asking people to do. Do your research, be connected in, and get back to the person who invited you here because they cared enough to share this technology, life-changing technology with you. We've got a few more minutes. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? I'm just having a look to see if there's,
Someone asked about whether or not there was, I had much of a detox. I think I was so, yeah, I was in so much discomfort that actually I was the opposite for me. That I know that some people do experience a bit of a detox, but for me, I just experienced the up. But I was also very, very diligent with drinking water. Like I drink a lot of water, so you know that's really, really important along the journey as well.
yeah, water is, drinking lots of water.
Yeah.
There's mine. I've got to finish that before I go to bed. Now, there was another question. How do we know when inflammation has gone? That's a good question, Kylie.
Um, well, I I think in answer to that, I'm going to answer that in two phases. Sometimes I might eat something or something has happened. You know, subconsciously I'm a little bit anxious about something, and then you wake up in the morning and you go, "Oh, I'm feeling a little bit like inflamed today as I wake up." So there's looking at what's happening in your life
Mm-hmm.
versus is it my condition that has returned that has caused the inflammation. And for me, like that condition is only during reproductive years now. I actually, there's one thing I'd like to add here as well, is that I was truly blessed to be starting to take RCA around about the age of 52, because that's when I was going through the change. Um, and considering I had all of that journey with my hormones from the age of 20 up to, my early 50s, I had no drama going through the change. And so that's another really good point for balancing the hormones for women during that time. So for me, I know that the one way that you can find out if the inflammation has gone is if you stop taking it RCA. And I tell you what, I'm not going to stop taking it. That's a no-no. Yeah, so I hope that that answers your question a little bit. Think about what's happening in your life, whether or not there's been some subconscious kind of thoughts and stress going on. Is that adding to the inflammation, or is it actually, the condition that's,
You're dealing with, yeah.
yeah. So,
Mm. Very good question. Just looking to see if we've answered all the questions before we head. Does somebody want to just do a double check of that? But one of the things, one of the questions people say, and we've already alluded to, you had enough ASEA and you budgeted enough so that you could have it. And like you said, it might have been a bit longer result, but still there was a result. And
yeah.
that commitment, and I really say to people, you need to be committed. And I think even Melissa mentioned today, commit to at least 90 to 120 days. They are seeing, it's coming at evidence that you're getting a better result the longer that you take it. So it's pretty amazing.
Someone mentioned the name of the book. So it's a compilation book. The compilation book is called Ignite Joy. And my story is in the book, and it's called When the Bottom Fell Out.
Oh, that's real. When the bottom fell out. Yes, it actually did. Now, one of the things, I'll just stop record right now. Where is my button? My record button. Stop recording.
Recording stopped.
Okay, before we just finish off in the next couple of minutes, we recorded the lunchtime session, and it was really amazing, a half an hour interview, and basically this similar story. But Carolyn's going to post that in the chat, and I sent her a message. And if you want a recording of today, It's going to be in Wellness with Redox, our private Facebook group. And if you want it sent to you, you need to send me a personal email, kflack@gmail.com. So Carolyn, I think she is going to pop those in. Is that, did you want to answer that question, Elaine? Does this help with weight loss?
Yeah, sure. It's not, you can't go on ASEA and then eat what you want and then not exercise and then expect to lose weight. It will help to use fat as fuel. But what I would say is that if weight gain is because of poor digestion, it will help your body to improve in its digestion, and therefore that sluggish digestion can obviously relate to weight gain as well. So we just have to be really careful there where, you know, it's, I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in and give a view as well, but we just have to be careful. It's not directly for weight loss, but because it is helping your body to function better, then for me, I felt more energized and my digestion has improved, which helps. So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I'll be a little bit careful with that answer.
Yes, it supports your body.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and of course
Exactly.
we'll have more energy, so you'll be able to do more exercise, and so you know it's just a all-round support. So at the cellular level, it's your foundation, and on that you can build everything else. It's like I always say, you wouldn't build a house on sand. So
Yeah, exactly. And this is getting back to the right foundation that it needs. It's foundational. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. And we really will have you back again. I'm sure everybody would love to have you back, wouldn't you?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I'm just going to remove us from Spotlight, and then so everybody can say thank you and much appreciation for being vulnerable to share your story. So everyone,
Thank you, Elaine.
say
Thank you.
Thank you.
And by the way, I thought you were in your 30s, not 50s.
Oh, thank you so much. He said that, but
I would have bet my life on it.
Lefke, hey, how are you doing?
I'm very well.
Yeah,
I'm very well.
you know,
We're going to want to know what you use on your face, hey, Logie.
Well, you know what I use on my face. It's right. It's the ASEA skincare. You know, that's I could do a whole nother talk. I'm a beauty therapist, right? I could do a whole nother talk on that. So yeah.
So now
well, we'd love to have you. We're talking. We had a skincare session with Cassandra, and she was just absolutely brilliant. And maybe we could do it with a couple of you, because we've got a few beauty therapists, and we'll do it during the midday. But I think it would be really special because there's so many tips and hints that we can get. But the skincare is amazing, and the Renew is up there with important for the skin, part of your skincare regime. So look, thank you,